Hi everyone, Phil here from Now Spinning Magazine. I wanted to say something about the Ozzy film. It's No Escape From Now. I'd watched the BBC documentary and that had me and Sue in tears. But the documentary that's on Paramount, is something else entirely. I thought it was a revelation really to see, because the whole build up to the Birmingham gig, and I did loads of videos about it, didn't I? And I was, a lot of people were kind of like coming down on Sharon saying she's just after the money, he shouldn't be doing it, and he won't be able to turn up and all the rest of it. When you watch this documentary and you realise just how ill Ozzy was, it's unbelievable really that he did it at all. Because I had no idea he was in that bad a shape. I knew he got Parkinson's, I knew he had back trouble, but I didn't know, and I don't think any of us really knew, the amount of pain and discomfort that Ozzy was in, and the fact that, he had so many spinal surgeries, and in the programme, that when he has that fall in the bathroom, and he goes, they go to A&E, and it's probably, where they live in America, it's probably a war zone. And they send him home and he's got a broken neck. And they have to go back the next day, and then it has surgery that was a bit aggressive and unnecessary, which causes him, basically, this botched surgery basically changed his life. And there's a part in the programme where Jack, and they all his kids, Amy and Kelly and Jack, are talking about, this surgery, this effing surgeon who did this basically changed Ozzy's life and sent him on this potentially downward spiral, really. And the build up to the actual gig, and he's got like blood clots. He's got sepsis, he's had pneumonia, he's had extra surgeries, one of his vertebrae collapsing, they're about to put some, like cement in one of them, and then another one cracks. And he's going to do this gig. And he can't stand, he can't be left alone for a moment at home, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But what comes across is his total love for Sharon, his children, his grandchildren, and all of their love for him. This unit, this dysfunctional family that functioned together. And I know that Ozzy wasn't a perfect human being. He was human. Yeah, but what we witnessed in the UK when Ozzy passed away and the funeral and everything, we hadn't seen anything like that since Princess Di. And I don't think we'll ever see anything like that ever again. And right from when I was a teenager in the 70s, there was always something about Ozzy. When Sabbath fired him, the outpouring then where I was in Birmingham for Ozzy, from boys, girls, men, women, was everyone felt for Ozzy. And there was no social media then. It was what you read in music magazines or newspapers, or people just felt that from him, that he was unpretentious, he was one of us, that he did it so we could. Just a nice guy. And everyone I knew who'd met him said he's just a down-to-earth guy. But this program is heartbreaking. And the other things that I felt for, and I'm just rambling, I know, I'm sorry. The fact he was watching Ronnie James Dio interviews, that he obviously felt that, because he felt so bitter about being thrown out of Sabbath, he obviously had no time for Ronnie James Dio. And Ronnie James Dio is obviously a superb singer, and that must have, Ozzy is someone who got lots of insecurities about his own position. You've been fired from something, you're not going to feel brilliant, are you? And then somebody comes in who's been classed as one of the best vocalists of all time, you're not going to feel good. But now toward the last part of his life, he's watching all these interviews with Ronnie James Dio, feeling that he'd done wrong, and he wished he'd been kinder or nicer, wished he'd spoken to him more, these regrets and stuff. And you really feel for that. And the albums that he made, with Andrew Watt. When you watch patient number 9, how he comes to life, because he's feeling depressed, he's on antidepressants, he's got everything he's known. It starts in 2018, and you actually, from 2018 to literally a couple of months ago for me doing this video, you actually see Ozzy decline in almost real time. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It really is to see this, and how everything has been stripped away from him. He's still putting the tour off and thinking he's going to be able to do it. And he realises he can't do it at all. But there are parts, and I say, it says my t-shirt, music is a healing with the doctor. There's parts when he literally can't do anything. And Billy Morrison, he goes around to do a track with Billy Morrison for his album, and he arrives to the studio, and you can tell he doesn't want to be there, and he's not in a good place. And he says to Billy, I'm not in a good place. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything. And during the filming of it, he starts to come to life. As he starts to sing, he comes to life. And he literally walks out of the studio. He feels rejuvenated. That he's in constant pain. And if you've ever had pain that you didn't feel is ever going to go away, and I know people who, in my friend circle who are in constant pain, but sometimes when you do something that takes your awareness away from that, you don't think nothing covered, and there's no painkillers, nothing will take this pain away, nothing. And how do you concentrate? How do you read a book? How do you watch a film? How do you do anything? Be with your loved ones when you're just in pain. And that's what Ozzy says that. And then he's with music, and he forgets it. It goes, and he comes to life. And there's another really moving bit when he's going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's not well, and he's going to have to be in this throne type thing. I remember seeing this thing. God, he's not singing, and he's Billy Idol, he's doing a part, and they're all doing their best. And he doing the rehearsal, he's singing because the guy who's going to do this particular song on the night isn't there yet, and they're doing the rehearsal. Ozzy starts to sing it, just kind of, and they're looking around thinking, where is his voice coming from? And it's Ozzy starting to sing it, and it's just so heartfelt, really. It is, and there's other parts when he comes home from that, and he's rejuvenated. He's thinking, I can do it. And the other thing that comes across in this, because you've always got this image that Sharon's pushing him to do this, you're going to go on tour. It isn't. This is all Ozzy. He loved his fans. He loved all of us. And he just wants to say goodbye. And he just wants to, and although it's really sad, it's sad, right? It's heartbreaking, but it's also full of courage and grit. Ozzy applies everything he can. And when you see him exercising and trying to push and push and push to get himself ready to just do these few numbers, and is he going to even be able to get on the plane? And he's so ill, and you just see he's not going to do it. But he wants to do this. It's so important to him. It's so important, and it's literally he's living for that, and that really. It really comes across. It really comes across just how much he put into this. And I think that I love all sorts of genres of music. I was raised on rock music, if you like, but I think that heavy metal has got the community behind that is so staunchly loyal. And Ozzy was the top of that mountain. When you think of classic rock or whatever, it's Ozzy. And I think when they don't show any concert footage from Birmingham, but they show the audience, and you think it's going to be all people like me, don't you? With slightly grey hair, and it's full of young people, and you think, well, the moms and dads must have taken them, probably not, because it was so expensive. But it's just full of people of all ages, because heavy metal is just like a movement, a community of people that just stick together and support each other and want to be with each other. And when Ozzy gets ready to come up from that stage, and you see him transform from this so vulnerable, so ill person And then he emerges and he says, "Let the madness begin." And it's just incredible that he was able to do that. And there are other parts in the program where you think he can hardly talk, he can't stand up straight, he can't do anything. But when he sings, everything comes together. The music was so special to him when he was writing lyrics, the albums he made, and his enjoyment. You can see his eyes light up because of his love of music and his fans. And that's what really came across. And of course, if there's any, I know some people have criticised the program, it just ends abruptly. He comes off stage and then it's just the funeral cortege and that's it. But I don't know how else they could have done it. I mean, he'd only just come back to his home in the UK, and he was thinking about, what he might be doing next. But he lived for that music, and he lived for that gig, and he lived for his fans, and he wanted to say goodbye. But it's an amazing thing to watch. For some of you, I know it's still quite early to watch it, perhaps in respect to having just lost Ozzy. But I think it will be upsetting, but it will also make you feel great, and it will also make you want to go and listen to probably his most recent albums to get a real sense of what he was going through. He didn't want to die an ordinary man, and he didn't. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor.